Welcome back, listeners, to this week's edition of the Black and Blue Soccer Show with Andrew and Joey. We are going to go over this week's scores and highlights, the EFL Cup recap, end of transfer news, information, and updates to top 4 and bottom 3 predictions. So, Joey, how was this past week for you?
It was rather interesting. I learned something on social media this week. I'm sure you recall my tweet that kind of inadvertently called out Nottingham Forest. Um, so
Yeah, that was a great. I honest to God, when I read, so you tweeted it out when I was sleeping, and so I got up. I swear to God, I thought you were trolling.
I was trying to have a deep, thoughtful discussion on, I guess, soccer finances and how all the resources are streaming towards the Premier League. And what I was trying to imply is like, look, the Premier League is so stacked that a quote mid-level club such as Nottingham Forest, is able to spend all this money, bring in all these players. That proves that like the Premier League as a whole is just levels above all the other leagues. Well, I tagged Nottingham Forest in there and thinking like I just want to get some views on this tweet. And yeah, they kind of took offense to that. And you know, at the time I was like, come on, man, I really have to like explain myself for all this. Like, what the heck? But whatever, it's social media. I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah, we were going back and forth on our Discord because I swear to God, I thought he was trolling Nottingham Forest, and then I was like, Joey, you tagged them. Who do you think's gonna see this post? Forest fans. I mean, at least you didn't call them like a low level. You said mid tier, so that was, it could have been worse for you. Um, but yeah, I thought you were trolling them. But don't worry, Leeds fans. We haven't forgot about you.
Oh no, we're coming for you. Just let's see. After this week's match, depending on how the results go, we'll be in there for you.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Anything interesting or anything happened for you this week?
me personally, no, but I've been enamored with this balloon controversy. Weather balloon, whatever balloon floating, and we both live in the Midlands of South Carolina. We had tons of fighter jets fly over our house. I'm sure you did too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they went and intercepted that balloon right off of Myrtle Beach.
America, F yeah.
And now they're telling people, because I think it was shot only like 7 miles off the coast, not very far off the coast. So they're
hmm
telling people like, don't go to the beach, and like if you see anything, don't touch it, etc. So I was like, yeah, just wait until it flies over South Carolina to shoot it down, because we don't have enough things to deal with in our area. Why not just whatever is in the balloon or filled with, who knows? You didn't want to shoot it in the middle of nowhere, Montana, but you're willing to like shoot it right off of Myrtle Beach.
Yeah,
I mean, granted,
very
Myrtle Beach is a dump. I mean, I'm gonna just
right.
be honest with everyone that's listening. That's the Yankee, or we call Northern people from the North, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, all those. That's their playground. It's just, it's disgusting. So, but
I
yeah.
so my buddy lives in Columbia as well. He saw it over flying over his house, or realistically it was probably like 100 200 miles away or whatever, but he could still see it. And I was like, just let me know if you start to feel sick or something, and if that happens, I'll go ahead and get the F out of out of town.
Yeah, make sure you have your N95 mask on. You don't want that new strain of COVID being like just filtered down. But no, realistically, it's too high up for the jet stream to carry it, probably to the United Kingdom. So, but yeah, so fun times over here in America. Okay, Joey, let's go over the Premier League scores from match day 22. Starting off on Friday, we had Chelsea and Fulham 0-0. Obviously, I'd like to hear your thoughts about this game.
Yeah, so honestly, it was pretty boring. From a Chelsea fan, I was expecting a lot more. Realistically, you're not going to get a result right away with. We talk about how my son's team swaps players in and out all the time, and they can't build any cohesion. Well, I mean, same exact thing is going on with Chelsea, between injuries and Bully throwing out bags of money left and right to bring in players. You're just not going to build any type of consistency, and that's exactly what we saw. There's a lot of hate put on Mount, Havertz, and Gallagher. And one person that I haven't really seen get much criticism is Ziyech. He puts in a great ball with his left foot, and that's pretty much it. And a lot of times, what you would see is the ball being played down the right hand side, with ultimately him getting the ball, but nothing would come of it because if you don't have a target man, like what are his balls in going to do? Like Havertz is not that guy. So I do wish that the play could have gone down the left a little more. But even still, like if that happened, Melt and Mudryk were just not on the same page. But maybe if they had more of an opportunity, they could have built into it. I don't know.
So yeah, I am gonna be honest. I watched the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes of this match due to work, and so question on Mudryk, he didn't look great at all. And then when I popped in the last 20 minutes, he was looked like he was subbed off at halftime, and I did read the coach's comments and said he was sick and had a cold. Do you think that's true, or because what I mean, it doesn't look like he was having a good game at all.
Right.
So
I mean, so why would I think that's not true though? Like, I'm
why would
gonna
you
take
start
the
him
coach. I'm
if
gonna,
he's sick? Why wouldn't you? Because the person that replaced him, I can't pronounce the guy's name, looked pretty good.
yeah. I mean, the dude needs minutes. They want to get him into playing shape. I've been sick and tried to do stuff before and like thought I was recovered, but then get out there and was like, oh nope, I am not as well as I thought I was. So like I have no reason to doubt Mudrik or Potter in that regard. I think he wasn't going to go the full 90 anyway because they're splitting time between him and Madueke, who replaced him, to get them both match fit. And again, like he just didn't really have many opportunities. I think he had 16 touches total. Nobody tried to hit him in space when he was trying to make a run. He didn't really have many opportunities to do any link up with Mount, and if they did try it, it failed miserably. Um, he just needs time and to get well from his cold, and then uh, on that regard too, um, playing on that side with Cucurella. I don't know the proper pronunciation. Um, you know, he just doesn't seem to be doing anything going forward. I know I showed you the one stat earlier where, oh man, I forget the timeline of it now, but it was something like he's only played 5 balls into the box in like some obscene amount of time. And for to bring in a guy for I think it was what 60 million, and to for that person to offer like nothing offensively, that's not good at all. And honestly, I have a hard time seeing him have a future at the club if he keeps putting up performances like that. But again, it was a boring match. Fulham will be happy to be the kings of West London. Um, Chelsea are still trying to put the pieces together, and yeah, we move.
Are Fulham the kings of West London after this week? Brentford beat Southampton 3-0. So would that make Brentford the kings of West London?
Yeah, I don't think so.
For those, the only interesting thing to note in this game is the post game comments from the Southampton coach, in which he noted that he's been essentially pandering to his players and his coaching tactics and beliefs, and he's not put out the team that you know he wants to see. Just kind of odd for a coach to be saying. Um, so yeah, I don't know how long he's gonna stay on the South Coast. We both still have them in our bottom three, and I don't think either of us see that changing.
Yeah, not at all. And whether or not he, is actually pandering to his players more than he should, like they're not doing well at all. And I don't think that a simple mindset's going to help them enough to, get them out of the relegation zone.
Yep. Nope. Agree. So we moved to Saturday morning, which had one of the, many upsets, I guess you say. But this week was a unique match day. We had Everton beating Arsenal, 1-0 at Goodison Park. Your James Tarkowski header. So Joey, is the Dyche effect in full effect?
I mean, you definitely have the new manager bounce. I've seen a lot of people talk about how, the squad looks so much different under Dyche than it did than it did with Lampard. But if you think about it, there like a lot of the little basic stuff that Lampard was asking his players to do. Like there's no way that Lampard would just allow someone to not close a player down, to not move forward and progress the ball, not to attempt to hit runners in space, stuff like that. The difference is that Daesh coming in, creates a new sense of, I don't know, just wanting to get things right and get things done. And the players took it to heart and actually put out a decent performance. Arsenal looked kind of flat. They, you know, uh, didn't seem to handle the pitch very well. Things weren't, as magical for them as usual. And I'm not too surprised now if Everton keeps it up and starts, to win some more games going forward. I will change my tune overall, but for right now, I guess I'm a little pessimistic on them.
Yeah, and if there's one team that Arsenal has trouble beating, oddly enough, it's Everton. Um, and I think the commentary made an interesting point about Everton. For as bad as they've been in mediocrity, they've been in number of coaches had changed. They're the one team that almost always gets new manager bounce. So if Dice didn't win this game, I think he'd be the first in like a long series of coaches that didn't win their first game at home. So, you know, yes, it's surprising. I still would never have predicted it, but it's also, going back and looking at some of the stats and everything, you're kind of like, you could have seen how it would have happened. Obviously, I would have lost money if I bet on this game, but, is what it is. And we'll talk, here in a minute. The last match day of the game, could Man City pick up points on Arsenal? We'll get to that in a minute. The next match of the day, though, was Brighton at home versus Bournemouth. Again, Brighton wins with a last minute goal by Japanese player Mitamina.
Mitoma.
So, Mitoma. Oh, God. Always going to call him that.
Yeah. Yeah, so real quick, I really like what De Zerbi's doing there. He came from Shakhtar, and it I just really like him. He seems to know what he's doing, and obviously has the Brighton boys playing well.
Yeah, a little hard on Bournemouth. I mean, for as bad of defense they were, they kept Brighton out the majority of the game. still lose. I think they're still going down. Unfortunately, I like the business they did in the winter market, but I think they just don't have enough quality players on that squad. Um, so then the next match, which has probably had the most controversial moment of the weekend, was the Manchester United Crystal Palace match, which saw Manchester United winning 2-1. However, Casemiro got sent off for a kerfuffle that looked like he was choking. Um, oh my God, the Watford player, albino guy, can't remember his name. Anyway, we've all seen the stills, seen the video of it. Was he really choking him? If you ask a Manchester United fan, they'll say no, he was hugging him, or he had his hands around his shoulders. It just looked worse than it was. Most of them are like, yeah, that's not never a red card. Before we get to my thoughts, Joey, obviously the result, them winning at home is to be expected, but on the red card, what are your thoughts?
So I was watching ESPN FC earlier today, and first of all, I do not recommend it. It sometimes can be rage inducing. And one of those moments happened where they were talking about this situation with Casemiro, and there were there was one guy who was like, "Yeah, I don't think it's a red card," and he's like, given the context of the match, how things were going, possibly if the ref was like calling it a tight game, and things were getting really chippy and stuff, maybe. But he's like, in a vacuum, I don't think what he did was a red card, and that blew my mind. Like a national analyst or talking head thinking that putting your hands around the guy's neck is acceptable in any way. That just blew my mind. Like, I don't care the context in it. You can't do that. And if that happens, there needs to be a serious consequence, which, getting red carded and being out for 3 matches, that's it. Um, shouldn't be tolerated.
Yeah, we're on the same page with that. I mean, put your hands around someone's neck. Yeah, I know it's the heat of the moment, but I mean, you could have shoved him down. There's other things I mean, you could have pushed him in the chest, and you'd have been okay. Um, it's a premeditated move. Well, I say premeditated, but in the heat of the moment, you may not be thinking about it, but it shouldn't be your gut instinct to like go to choke someone. Um, the funny thing is the longer clip, when it rolls out, you see them hug it out. So, I mean, obviously he didn't do anything, but eh, he went for the throat. There was intent. So, I think the punishment's justifiable. Will Manchester appeal? Who knows? Um,
If they appeal it, he should get double banned.
they do if you do so if you do make a frivolous appeal, they can increase it by 1 game. Which coincidentally, if they did, that would
That
be the
you would like that.
EFL EFL Cup final. So I don't think they're gonna appeal this. Their fixtures coming up aren't very hard, so they can probably win without him. Um, was he Homer Simpson squeezing the eyeballs out of Bart? No. But again, you don't want your first intent to grab another man's throat. Um, and in fairness, I do believe VAR missed IU on Fred. I believe IU probably should have also got a red card for his skirmish with Fred, but somehow VAR missed that. Whatever, people can say, how do you miss it? Obviously, that's a longer discussion about the English use of VAR is horrible. Um, but we'll move on from that because that would take up way too much time. So we already ran over the Brentford Southampton match. The next match of the weekend blew probably everyone away. Um, I would have definitely been on the street if I put any money on this. Wolves had 3 goals to Liverpool's nil. Now, one was an own goal, but they still scored 2 goals. And coming into this game, they only scored 12 goals the entire season. And now they have 15, and 3 of them came in this game. So, Joey, is Klopp on the hot seat?
Hot, yeah. I don't think anything will come of it, but um, the owners don't seem to be looking to change much right now between player squad and management. Honestly, I think they're a little bit complacent, and they're just willing to write it out. Um, the one thing that really concerns me is they do not look good attacking anymore. Like they were already having issues defending, but they do not look good going forward. Since the World Cup, since play resumed after the World Cup, I think you saw this earlier. Do you recall who the leading goal scorer for uh, Liverpool
You
is?
know I know this answer. He's one of my favorite players. It's a double own goal wow fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know what more you could say about that other than I'm glad Newcastle's going to be playing Liverpool in the not too distant future. May their troubles continue. May their defensive and attacking woes, you know, again, go on and on and on. I would enjoy if they ended up at the bottom half. Um, and I think Klopp's job is under. I think he's under pressure. Will they get rid of him? If they get any more of these 3-0 to teams like Wolves, I could see them getting rid of him because that is a completely unacceptable result. Even if you don't get reinforcements, I mean, you have your squad is so much more talented. Um, so you, and you're getting worse. Like
Yeah.
you're not getting better. Like that's the
So,
problem.
all right. So, on that note, next week on Monday, it's the Merseyside derby, Liverpool versus Everton. Let's say they lose 3-0 there. What are you
Oh,
thinking?
uh, I wouldn't want to be one. I wouldn't want to be a Liverpool fan. Two, I'll be very sad because that means Everton won. Um, and again, I'm two minds on Everton. And three, oh boy, oh Klopp, he'll probably get a phone call. Will he lose his job 3-0? If they would I sack him? If you think you have a chance at Europe and you lose 3-0 to Everton, I'm glad I'm not the football director because my instinct would be yes, because you're not improving. But he is a company man and he toes the line. So, and he's loyal, but is his heart still in it? I don't know. I don't know behind the scenes. I we'll get to that if it happens.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah. I
Uh,
so my good buddy from work is a big Liverpool fan, and I do not envy him in the least. And I a couple weeks back I was joking around with him. I was like, "You guys have a pretty big derby coming up. It should be a very competitive game." Half joking, but now I'm like serious. Like it will actually be a competitive match.
yeah, I mean, if this match day shows anything, you can't take any team for granted. Such as Aston Villa kind of slept on Leicester. They started this game off on a high note with the lead, and then Leicester came back and poured it on and ended up winning 4-2. Um, the new right winger Tet from Leon. I thought he was wonderful. I thought well, Fast did great for all the crap he gets. I thought defense was great. And anytime Villa lose, obviously I enjoy it. So that was a very enjoyable game for me. Um, do you have anything on that game?
Yeah. So Vardy, he came on as a sub, I believe. Is he on his way out now? Finally?
I mean, he's eventually. I mean, you got to be when you get that old, right?
Yeah,
Ye, yeah, I'm gonna say this is probably his last season there.
yeah.
That would be
Okay.
my guess. I'm guessing he's on high. I'm not a Leicester City fan. I'm guessing he's on high wages, and Tech can play right wing, but he also plays center forward. They still have Madison, which we'll see what happens with him. They brought in they brought I can't remember the guy starts with a D, but they brought in a young forward. He's not really performing right now, but I expect this to be his last year's. So
Okay. All right. Now
um,
take us to a good old draw castle.
yes, Drawcastle United. So the noon game. So we scored twice within the first 3 minutes. One of them obviously didn't count because Amron was too slow and let the ball go over the line. I swear that guy so lazy. I'm telling you what, he he doesn't run like he used to. I'm just kidding. Almiron's. I mean, you know Almiron from his Atlanta United days. Yeah, man, if he kept that ball in, is great. But then, so that goal obviously got called off. That was within the first minute, and then less than 2 minutes later, Longstaff puts Callum Wilson through, splits the defenders, what up, 1-0, 3 minutes in. So I'm like, okay, this is good. We've only given up 11 goals. And, not counting the Southampton game, it's been, over 500 minutes. Just let a goal in. So I'm thinking, okay, let's get another goal and get the hell out of here. Well, then we come to set pieces. And honest to God, don't know what Trippier was doing with Paqueta on the back post. Um, More like wrestling him. It was just, it was a bad goal to give up because it was just poor defending on our part. After that, once it was 1-1, the game got really stale and boring. West Ham looked like they were settling for, a draw. They were happy with a point, and we're not good enough yet to break teams down. We're kind of in the position where you guys were a few years ago, and maybe where you are right now. If teams, start playing behind the ball, we just don't have the talent to break them down. So, um, yeah, unfortunately, it's another draw. So now we're 10 wins, 10 draws. And I still contend if we miss out on top four, it'll be because we draw way too many games. Uh, I'm not saying, again, I don't want Newcastle to lose, but mathematically, you're better off winning two, losing one than drawing three. So,
Yep. So
um,
I I'll say that if I were a Newcastle fan, one thing that I'd be very concerned with is that while you guys had a majority of the possession, you only had two shots on target. That is not good. Even Chelsea, like we at least get four, double that.
yeah, it's hard to say. Again, they played pretty much, but once they got their goal, it was just behind the ball, and we didn't have Isak, which is a real big loss for us. And me personally, I think ASM has lost a step or two. I think he loses possession, too much. I don't think he takes people on. And when Gordon came in, Gordon was subbed around, I think the 65th, 70th minute, somewhere in that area. We looked like a completely different team. Like we actually looked like we could score again. Um, so, you know, we'll see. Yeah, it's odd because if you look at the deeper metrics, we're playing as well as we played in the beginning of the year when we were, winning. We're just now not winning. Like we're not hitting our expected goals. I think we have like 2 goals expected out of 8 or something. Like so, obviously this game is the exception. We did get beat on the expected goals, so a 1-1 is a fair result. But some of our other games, we just hammer down. You know, people like Leeds. and walk away with the draw. Like to me, those are the unacceptable games. I personally, I was not. I was not, I always think we're going to lose every game. So, I mean, I'm not the best commentator for it, but I honestly thought this could be where our, now 16 game unbeaten streak would end. Just because we played midweek Southampton, that was a very emotional game for everyone. The game was without Bruno, obviously for the red card, so we'll be without him again when we go down to Bournemouth. So overall, with this draw, I'm satisfied with this draw because I think West Ham actually played really well. And big shout out to former Rennes player Agurd. He was the left back that I personally wanted just due to him playing for Rennes. But now that we have Botman, I'm fine with him. But Agurd had a massive game for West Ham and basically was the reason that one of the main reasons we couldn't break them down. So
All right, now let's pick up our spirits a little bit and let's talk about today. Um, tell us about the matches from today.
okay, so well let's get the last game of the day done first before we talk about the early game. So in the last game of the day, Harry Kane got his 200th goal, and Tottenham went home to a 1-0 win at home over Man City, which most is Spurs is the most Spurs thing you can do. Look like crap, then win. Look like crap, then win. Um, but we Newcastle, we got a game in hand over them, but they're only 1 point behind us. But again, as we talk about, rather lose than win. But for Man City, this is obviously not great because they had a chance to catch up to Arsenal and kind of blew it. So, um,
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Man City right now. They obviously have all the players to, destroy the world. Um, have freaking Holland, scoring at will when he gets a good chance, but it's like just not clicking for them all of a sudden, and not really sure. Honestly, I think today's match would have been a great match for Cancelo to be in there, but
I was just about to say,
yeah. But credit to Tottenham, like they came to play and great for Kane. He's like a top class guy. I wish he weren't so good because I don't like Tottenham winning, but good for him.
he has injured quite a few players in his career at Newcastle. Okay, so top class guy. We the debatable if he's a top class guy, but definitely a top class striker. Um, and they scored pretty early, so to hold off Man City for 90 minutes again. And I don't think Conte. I didn't see the whole game, so I don't think Conte was on the sidelines. So or the touchline. Was he
Yeah,
even in the stadium at all?
I don't think so. I didn't see I didn't get to watch the whole match, but from what I saw, I didn't see him there at all.
So yeah, but to hold Man City off, all you can say is fair play, good job, Spurs, and top four is looking like a contest now. So which is great. I mean, in the scheme of things, competitiveness is breeds excitement. And on that note, we go to the bottom of the table where it's getting really competitive and super exciting. Nottingham Forest put one over on Leeds, 1-0.
Low, 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 low.
So, yeah. So first off, this game was horrible on just, it wasn't fun to watch at all. It was a great goal by Brennan Johnson. So, obviously one of their best players. Otherwise, not much to write home about. Weston McKennie made his debut. To me, he looked like he's been enjoying too many desserts or something in his, brief time in England. He looked a little heavier than I remember him. Um, and in my opinion, didn't look good at all. And I'm obviously not a U.S. men's national team fan, but I've always thought Tyler Adams is better of the two, and he looked the better of the two. And I think the longer they play together, Adams' stock again, I will project, will continue to rise. Um, so Joey, do you think Jesse Marsh is under how much pressure? How many games do you think he has left? Let's just put it that way.
See, this is interesting because he's been given the good old vote of confidence from the management, and from Leeds, it seems like they're legit about it. Because a lot of times you can kind of tell, like, yeah, we're in for the long haul with this guy, but you'll hear rumors that behind the scenes they're really looking at replacements and stuff like that. But they're giving Marsh everything he wants. He is bringing America to Leeds, and they're really investing in the club for him. But man, he is not doing very well. I've talked to multiple Leeds fans, and a lot of them would say that they have trust in the squad itself. It's just that Marsh is the issue that they have. They believe that him and his style would be the reason that they get relegated, and I'm right there with them. To play that type of pressing, that nonstop, almost like the Bielsa ball type stuff, it's hard, and the margins are so thin that one mistake can, lose a whole match for you. If you don't have the top quality players to be able to capitalize when you do win the ball back and, actually hit your mark on transitions, then, you don't really do much of anything. And that's exactly what they're going through.
Yeah, and it's not gonna get any easier for him, is it? They've got Manchester United twice, Wednesday and Sunday. Then they get to play a revitalized Everton, and then they finally get maybe a winnable game, Southampton, and then they get to enjoy Chelsea at the beginning of March. So they have a very tough run here of the next 5 games. I think, I personally think he's going to get sacked, and I think it's going to be the fans that get him sacked. I think the fan pressure will become too much. Um, I think they're going to lose. Obviously, Wednesday is at Manchester United, so I don't think they're going to get a point there. But I think Leeds fans, they would expect to lose that game. The
Yeah,
Sunday game, the one at home, if they don't put in a performance that looks good, I think that's when things will start to turn. Um, and then I think it all falls apart if they lose at Everton. Um, I think if he doesn't, I would say we'll check back on in 2 weeks, see how they're doing. But I think I think at the rate he's going to get sacked due to the fans. Whether fair or not, I don't know. I don't care about Leeds at all. You know, I only you know I watch them for the memes and the hilarity of the American bandwagon Leeds fans
that's
um,
great.
trying to interact with the actual Leeds fans. So that's why I watch them, and then also for Joey's trolling is top notch. So it would if they go down, that's another northern club that goes down. But I'm not gonna say they don't deserve it because I mean, Rafinha saved their ass last year, and they really, like you said, they put all their resources into Jesse Marsh, and he plays the Red Bull way. I mean, like, so if you're gonna put your resources into that, you buy specific players for a specific system. Is that the way a club should go? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Like, obviously, it's not my decision. Um, and I think the 49ers might take over them this this summer. It's either this summer or next summer. This takeover is taking forever. But eventually the 49ers are going to take over Leeds. Now whether they'll get a championship club or a bottom half Premier League club remains to be seen. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well, I'll say if Marsh does make it to March 4th against Chelsea, I'll say that Chelsea has an uncanny ability to revive managers' seasons. There will be we'll play against Bournemouth, Burnley when things are absolute crap for them, and then they'll just blow us out of the water. So Leeds fans, there's hope yet.
yeah, I'm looking at their fixture list. If he makes it to Chelsea, they just gotta. I mean, they've got the gauntlet. They've got like almost all the top six teams yet to play. I mean, they don't have a. I mean, there's never an easy game in the Premier League, but they've needed to get their points by now. So I think their ending might be easy. So maybe they'll need that new player or new coach bounce there at the like let's see what's match day 30. Nope, playing Spurs. Nope, nope. Let's see when. I mean, I'm their fixture list is
It's brutal.
hell.
Yeah, it
I
really
mean,
is
oh my
brutal.
God. I mean, they end the year like maybe you bring their new coach in on match day. Like if Marsh isn't replaced by the Chelsea game, then what's the point of replacing him, right? Because
Hmm.
then you still got the gauntlet to go. Like if you're gonna do something, you need to do it sooner than later. Is what I would be saying if I was a Leeds fan.
All right, so let's count out potential wins for them going forward. All right, so Everton, I'd say that's a potential win.
But
Um,
it's at Everton.
yes,
So
it
I'm
is
going
at
to say the
Everton.
best case for them is a draw.
Okay. All right, so oh, I was gonna say Wolves, but man, I don't. Wolves, you know, taking getting three against Liverpool. I don't know. Palace
You
might
skip
be.
you skip their Southampton game. So we're assuming they're losing both Manchester United games,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so they do have Southampton at
Okay.
home
Yep.
the 25th of February. I think they could win that game.
Yeah, definitely.
And they
Chelsea.
have you guys.
Yeah, no. Brighton, no way. Wolves, toss up.
It's at it's
Arsenal.
at it's at Wolves,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to say maybe they'll get a draw.
Yep. And then home against Palace. I think that's a potential win. Um,
Yeah, Palace is like the mini Spurs
mhm.
with less talent. Up and down. Up. I mean, I love Patrick Vieira, but like you don't know what Palace you're getting from week to week. I don't know if that's a sign of a growing team or a bad team. It's just
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So then next they have Fulham. Tim Ream's going to eat Leeds alive. Then Leicester. I don't think they'll have a chance against them. And then Bournemouth after that. So it's at Bournemouth. So what would be a decent shot for them is an away match for them. So possibly, and then of course they end it with Man City, Newcastle, West Ham, and Tottenham. So their fixture list is pretty brutal, and I don't know. Yeah,
Can I
I'm
redo mine? Who's going down?
I know, right? So too bad we recorded that segment yesterday.
I know they. I didn't realize they've played most of their winnable matches. Or what? Again, let's preface this by saying this week was a weird match week. Anyone can win at any time, but on paper, Leeds has appeared to blown most of their load already, and they only have a few chances, and even the chances they have, they're the away fixture.
Hmm.
So, ooh, they're not in good shape.
Yeah, so
Uh, yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm similar with West Ham. Let them get relegated, and I'll be okay if Chelsea picks up Tyler Adams.
Now we could use Tyler Adams at Newcastle. I contended that in the winter as well.
I mean,
You know,
he could
I'm
potentially
glad
go
he
for
went to
like,
Leeds first because I wasn't sure there's a Premier League player in there, to
hmm
be honest with you. But now that I've seen him and, I saw what he did to us, yeah, I'll take him. He's the only American I would take off that squad. Um, so yeah, listeners, we will follow this Leeds United saga until the end. And and if they do get relegated, I'm sure Joey will have a great troll meme ready to go
yeah,
at the end.
it's funny because I'm an American, and a lot of my son's teammates' parents are Leeds fans, and it's just great. I have a lot of fun with it.
But the culture in America is to follow the player, not the team. So that's kind of the funny thing, and that's what cracks me up with the Leeds America fans trying to talk down to the actual like Leeds United fans that have been there since the long championship spell. They don't even remember when Leeds was last in the Premier League. So it's funny to watch them interact with with the actual. I guess I'm maybe using too derogatory actual Lead fan, like they are Leeds fans. Let's say they're Leeds fans, but the old hats. It's just hilarious. Nothing could be funnier than Twitter and YouTube when they get together because the English folks, obviously talk down to the American folks, and the American folks think the American players are the best thing ever. Uh, so I mean, it's just hilarity ensues.
Yep. All right. Well, we've spent way too much time on this, so let's wrap it up and keep it moving.
So move on to our next segment and talk about how the EFL Cup went this week. Fun times in Newcastle. We are going to Wembley for the first time since 1999 FA Cup final. And this is our first EFL Cup final since Joey, can you just guess a year? You're not a Newcastle fan, so I don't expect you to know.
1959.
I believe that was before the EFL Cup was even around. But you're close. 1976. We were runners up to Man City 2-1. We actually lost on a overhead goal kick. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he was actually a Geordie. So obviously, I'm referring to the Tuesday Carabao Cup game, which Newcastle won 2-1 on aggregate. The big news coming out of this game is the red card for Bruno Guimaraes. There is some controversy in Newcastle world that this was not a red card. Joey, you saw the incident, did you not?
I did not. I don't pay attention to low level teams.
See, Leeds fans, this is what this is why we have to. And Forest fans, this is exactly why I thought he was trolling you. So it was 100% a red card. The guy's foot did go over the ball, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was a reckless challenge. Right on the ankle. I don't. I mean, some people are just saying, foot went over the ball, blah blah blah. I mean, it is straight red. I mean, it was deserved, and to be honest, it was coming from Bruno. He was getting Anana, not Anana, thinking Everton. Um, oh God, the other Belgian center, Lavia was frustrating Bruno. So you know, you could kind of see it coming. And unfortunately, I kind of wish Howe would have pulled him, because he was like losing, basically losing his mind. So I mean, it just happened. Unfortunately, he'll learn from it, and next big game, just keep a cool head.
Yeah, no, seriously though, I was pretty busy that day with work stuff, so I didn't really get to catch the match. One thing I did find interesting though is I've seen, um, I guess you guys have a song for going to the cup or something, something like "Mommy, Mommy, I got a ticket" or something.
I believe it's "Tell Me Ma, I'm not coming home for tea. Off to Wembley" or something of that nature. And I'm not sure if that's a being American. I honestly don't know if that's a Geordie song, or that's like what everyone says when they go to Wembley. I mean, Chelsea's been to Wembley probably so many times they don't even give a shit anymore. But when you haven't gone in a generation, you know, yeah, you're gonna sing. And I'm someone listening can tell me, but I think it's an English song. I don't think it's straight. I don't think it's Newcastle specific, but it could be. I could be wrong on that one.
Yep, and
Um, I was gonna say the other good thing from this game is the homegrown local boy Sean Longstaff had a brace within the first 20 minutes. So yeah, it got the stadium rocking. So it was a good game all around, never in doubt. We'll see what happens February 26th against Manchester United.
yeah, so obviously it was pretty early on that you guys would be facing United. Um, how, how do you think that match is going to go?
That's actually an interesting one. So Bruno's going to be coming off a red card. Casemiro is also going to be coming off a red card. The difference is Manchester United are in Europe, and so they've got some extra games, and they happen to play Barcelona, you know, right before they play us. So it's gonna be interesting. You would think we are gonna be more fit and ready. Their team is more deeper and honestly probably more talented overall. Newcastle fans don't take it the wrong way. So I see it as kind of an even match. Hopefully, by the time the end of February rolls around, Rashford isn't scoring for fun. Because if he is, that's obviously going to make it hard for us. Although Wilson did finally bag a goal today, so we definitely need contribution from up front, and Ezek should be back. So we should be. I mean, it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be probably one of the more watched EFL Cup finals in recent years, just because both teams are begging for a trophy. Manchester United haven't been to Wembley since 2018, which isn't too long. And they obviously lost to Chelsea in the FA Cup final, and they haven't been to the EFL Cup final since 2017. But again, when you're Manchester United, you're not expected to take 6 years off between, cup runs. So you have two teams begging. They really want both teams want this cup. It'd mean a lot to Newcastle for sure because we haven't won anything in so long. But Manchester United, for them, it's a great start to Eric Ten Hag's tenure, and also selling can't hurt to boast your recent silverware, and you're currently in the top four. So yeah, I expect a good competitive game.
So for Newcastle, you mentioned that you guys have missed out on a cup final in a really long time, and it would mean a tremendous amount for you to lift the trophy. Given that, would you rather win the cup or secure top four in the Premier League?
That is a good question, and we'll get onto that in my updated top four predictions. If you were to ask me, and this is just me, I would rather secure top four for commercial, financial, and exposure reasons. I think if that's me, an American, being a fan only 7 years. If you asked any other Newcastle fan, someone a Geordie born in Newcastle, I can guarantee you they're gonna say they would rather win the cup.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask next is what about the fans overall? Um, honestly, I think Chelsea has been there enough now that most fans would much rather prefer to secure top four.
It looks like it's gonna be a while for you guys to be back there too.
There's a chance. There's a chance. We'll 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 talk about that in a little bit as well, but there's a chance.
So yeah, let's move on to the end of the transfer window. For Newcastle, obviously nothing much. I know disappointment. We're up against financial fair play. The thing Newcastle is dealing with right now is wages. Um, to turnover revenue, I think we're like 92%, or we were. So we have our wage bills pretty high compared to the money we bring in, and it's going to be stepping down each successive year starting, I believe, this year. I think this year's is 90%, and the next year might be 80, and the next year 70, something like that. So, a lot of our fans were dreaming that, well, it would splash $200 million and, all this, but most realistic fans knew that it would be a slow window. However, we did not expect to see John Joe Shelby leave at the end of the window, which was bittersweet for me because he was, before Joe Linton, he was my favorite player. So I was sad to see him go. Uh, and he often got a ton of stick from the fans for often being lazy, not trying enough, you know. And then it's so funny to see social media like pretend he's like the greatest thing, like when he's leaving. So, you know, it's just I had to laugh because I mean, he's like what Mount is going through with you guys right now. That's kind of the same like crap he would get. And then, obviously if you guys sell Mount, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, Mason Mount. So thank you for everything you've done for the club. You've been a great servant. We love you," and blah blah blah.
So the first time I ever saw Shelby, I legit thought he looked like a serial killer. Like I don't know why, but I saw him and like that dude scares me.
It's funny because he actually so he got alopecia later in life. So if you want to Google Shelby with hair, you can actually find it. He had actually, I think, a long blonde hair, but he did get alopecia in life, and a lot of people often meme him to Voldemort, which
Ah,
not
okay.
gonna lie, the last team photo that he took, when we won the Cup semifinal with Southampton. Newcastle always takes a team photo. Shelby was in it, and I will admit that that picture is not the most flattering of Shelby, for sure. So I wish him the best at Nottingham Forest. Hopefully, he will help them stay up along with Chris Wood, and they also got a novice, um, who Joey we know as CONCACAF watchers, and you're a U.S. men's national team fan, has done wonders for the Costa Rican team. So I thought that was a great transfer from PSG. But the thing everyone wants to talk about and hear your thoughts on, obviously, is Enzo Fernandez.
Oh, that was such a beautiful day. I loved seeing all the tears of Premier League fans all around and all the moaning and groaning. How could they do this? Ah. Oh, it was beautiful. Bringing home Enzo, or I guess replacing J5, we now have E5. It's great. So yeah, Enzo was brought in, and then we let Jorginho go to Arsenal, and then Ziyech got his deal messed up to PSG. It was quite unfortunate. Um, yeah, man. I for as far as Chelsea goes, I was hoping for a few more outgoings. Um, yeah, as long as we brought in Enzo, I'm all good with that. Jorginho to Arsenal is just good accounting. He only had 6 months left on his deal, and I don't really think Arsenal will be able to like get much use out of him. Um, even in the match Arsenal played today against Everton, he didn't really do too much. Did a bunch of passing sideways and stuff that Chelsea was used to, and fans would moan and groan about. And yeah,
He replaced Odegaard.
Odegaard.
Uh,
Yeah.
Odegaard. Yeah, I mean, like, come on. Uh, I don't even get that substitution. Um, so yeah, that's an interesting move. 100% you guys won the window. Like, there's anyone trying to pretend Chelsea didn't win the transfer window is just jealous
Mm,
or delusional.
yep. And then the whole Ziyech thing, I feel bad for him. The dude, like, he's had such a rough go at Chelsea between injuries and being played out of position, and when he is played in position, not given enough run of games to actually do anything. Um, I as far as what happened, you and I were talking off air a little bit about the different stories and stuff. No matter how it went down, like the dude just deserves to play and to play like in a way that is impactful for him. It just hasn't happened at Chelsea, and I hope he can finally get somewhere at some point to make an impact on the field.
There's been talk. Has there, the Turkish league, I believe their transfer window is still open. Could he leave to
I
the
mean,
Super League?
I guess he could. I don't
Maybe a
know.
step down, obviously, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody there would be able to pay enough for him because his wages, while they aren't astronomical like Sterling or something, they're not cheap either. So I don't know.
Yeah, the last time I believe the Turkish lira, now, folks, I'm just typing this in as we're going along. I think that is worth less than the paper it's printed on right now. Turkish lira to US dollar. Yeah, so one Turkish lira is worth 5 cents.
Nice.
So their economy's gone to crap. Yeah, it'll be interesting what happens actually with players in Turkey because I think their like inflation was like 80% or something, really high. So yeah, I just saw that story and I was like, interesting. Like, can they afford him? And would he want to go? Like, if there were issues there. I mean, who knows what the story is? It was surprising to see him go, obviously, especially in the winter transfer. Despite no previous links, I think there was um, one of their guys was linked away potentially. Um, I'm not a Manchester fan, so I can't. Was it Silva? Was he linked away?
I think so. I don't recall for sure though.
Yeah, I think he might have been linked away. So, but Cancelo came out of nowhere. So we'll see. City have had an uncity-like year, so up and down, like many teams. This has been a very odd season, which has left the door open for teams like Newcastle to potentially get top four, and for some of the traditional teams like Chelsea and Liverpool to kind of fall their way back into Europa League.
Yep. Um, Now, given that the signing window is complete now, are there any players in particular that you think will make a just a particularly big impact for the club, for their club?
So there are some players I like from League On, but unfortunately they went to teams where I don't think they're great. The relegation fodder teams. We're talking like Kalmadine Sulemana, or Watura. The two players that come to mind, one I've been following specifically, and I was hoping Newcastle would take a chance on him, is the Brazilian right winger center forward Tete from Leicester City. He actually scored today. They got him from Leon. I thought that was a good bit of business from Leicester. I wouldn't say he's the best signing of the window. I would give that to Chelsea and Benoit Badiashile, especially for the price you guys paid, which was £34 million, and his reported weekly wages of 45 thousand pounds per week. I think that's an absolute steal for a young center back who's probably one of, if not already, your top center backs.
Oh, for sure. It's Thiago Silva and then him immediately. Koulibaly's like falling off a cliff. Fofana's still injured, and can't count on Kukurea and Trevor Chalobah, who was once, an amazing, consistent center back, is now just wildly up and down. So yeah, definitely he's solidly number two.
Now you do have that kid at Brighton, right?
Yeah, Levi Colwill, who I believe he just got injured too. Such a
Hmm.
Chelsea thing to do.
So yeah, your wage bill's coming down because I'm sure he's on poverty wages. So that will be. I mean, the future is looking good. So I mean, at least your wage bill's looking more tenable for the future.
Yeah, and similar, I think Badia Shield made and is making a massive impact for our defense. But I mean, you just can't pass up Enzo. What he did already in the match versus Fulham, playing in a deeper number six role, just immediately getting the ball forward is going to be tremendously helpful as we try to make a push back to European placements. Um, he's the signing of the window for me, and I'm pretty sure that most people would agree.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the money, I would probably agree.
Yeah. Kind of similar to that. Let's lead into our predictions. Now, I don't really think too much will change as far as the top of the table goes. I am interested to hear if you believe any changes are going to happen at the relegation zone.
So I do need to go back and make one change at the top because I predicted Liverpool could get fourth over Newcastle. I did not expect Liverpool to do absolutely nothing. In fact, they came out on transfer deadline day, said we're done, shops closed. I didn't see that coming at all. I was expecting to move for a midfielder. The fact they did nothing um, is concerning, and so now, against my probably better judgment, I have to say, it's hard for me to see a challenger to any of the current top four. So I think what we have right now is probably what we might end up with at the end of the year. Someone would have to go on an amazing run, or Spurs would have to find some consistency for anything of that nature to change. Um, in the relegation, you know, I'm sticking to my guns. The ones I picked, I'm still fairly confident. I know Everton, Sean Dyche did well today, and I wish him the best of luck. I still think they have problems scoring goals. I think that will be their issue. They have a pretty good defense. It's just scoring goals.